All right, we'll see if my dog behaves a little bit better. And you might also notice I'm dressed differently. As I get toward the end of class, I like to wear my street clothes. I like to you to kind of see what I look like every day. And so often I'm in a kooky graphic tee of some sort because I'm a man of a certain age. I got this one at a thrift store and I like it because it's got a guy with weird tattoos. I don't have any tattoos myself. It's one of the few things that one would think there would be about me, but there's not. I tend to wear a jean jacket and often I have a baseball cap on. And I started wearing baseball caps late in life. I always disliked men that always wore baseball caps, thinking it somehow made them look cool or something. I don't get it. Why do guys wear caps? But as I've gotten older and I've managed to keep my hair, I have found the utility of keeping the sun out of my eyes with a baseball cap. And my eyes have gotten more light sensitive as I've got older, which is just another delight of getting older. Okay, at first, Arlo, when you talk to chaos magicians, it sort of seems silly. I mean, they're just making stuff up, but they're making stuff up with an agenda. They have a method for how to make stuff up. So if you're used to learning ceremonial magic from the books of Crowley and teachers, or if you're a fairy, you're learning from your teacher, or you're an Alexandrian Wiccan and you're learning through your lineage of your coven, there you're very much receiving a tradition and learning a tradition. But in chaos magic, there is no tradition in the same way. There's a methodology, but each magician creates their own rituals and their own meaning. And I find it so interesting that chaos magic is as effective or as interesting as the chaos magician themselves. So you're like, hey, you guys are just making stuff up. But what seems silly can actually be profound. When they start talking about invoking characters from Stephen King novels or old TV shows and calling them angels, it seems ridiculous. But think about it. I mean, there's this ritual that I've done thousands of times in my life called the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. And in that, one takes one's entire energy and blows it out, banishes everything around, and fills one's own energy in that space while making pentagrams in the cardinal directions and invoking angels. Also, the Gnostic cross and the flowered rose cross of the Rosicrucians and the Golden Dawn. But anyway, so as you visualize deities around you, the four entities that I invoke in the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram is Michael, the archangel with a lion head, Raphael, one of the other archangels who has a human head, Uriel with a bull's head, and Gabriel, who tends to be my favorite, with the head of an eagle. I mean, we talk these days often in religious studies about how our new mythology, our new big stories are about superheroes, are super stories. So I would argue that superhero movies, specifically like the Marvel and DC universes, are a new type of mythology that we're telling. So why not invoke a Marvel character, as long as that character inspires you and aids you deploying your will via your own magical operation? Why is that Why is that less powerful than the Archangel Gabriel or Baphomet, the goat-headed guy, or Pan, the other goat-headed guy, or my glorious Shiva, the coolest god in the universe? I mean, what? Why? If all of these mythologies are just, myths, meaningful stories, then the more meaningful they are, even if they aren't traditional, they should be utilized. Okay, so some magicians grab old deities that nobody worships. You'll see in the center picture here, that is Alan Moore, the famous comic book artist and writer, more a writer than an artist. Did great runs on Swamp Thing. He wrote Watchmen, that got made into a movie, and an excellent TV show. He wrote From Hell, the Johnny Depp Jack the Ripper movie that wasn't very good. V for Vendetta, also all Alan Moore. An old wizard he was. When he turned 40 years old, he came out to the world as a ceremonial magician. He was looking through a book one day and he saw a bearded snake with long hair and a human-like face. And he said he fell in love. That god is Glaucon. It was a Roman god from the 2nd century. It's pretty much, Alan Moore is the only one who is into Glaucon, but Glaucon has become his holy guardian angel. Glaucon he has incredible love for. But that was a deity that was not traditional. It was like he encountered the deity in one way or another and then forged a powerful relationship. I mean, I remember a friend of mine sent me this crazy picture that he'd done in digital media of Ganesha, the elephant-headed god of Hinduism, with a machine gun. And I'm like, this is so weird. And he was telling me about doing some chaos magic operations where he felt this connection to Ganesha, but he wanted an aggressive Ganesha. I was upset by that. Now, scroll forward, I spent a lot more time with India and Indian deities, and I've seen all sorts of Ganeshas that are elephant-headed gods that are holding weapons, axes and spears and bows and arrows and whatnot. So really giving him a machine gun isn't so different. So if the morphology of religion is always changing, why not let it change in this modern age? Why not have Ganesha with a machine gun? If it works, why mess around? So if you look back on the god Baphomet, he's treated as a major god, and Carol writes about Baphomet in Chaos Magic. But why? It's because he is so wonderfully hybrid. He is considered to be like an animal and a man and a human. He's both genders. Note that he has breasts. Note that he has a magical wand that is clearly a phallus. Note, and this is the old Eliphas Levi, you remember him, his original depiction. But look at like more contemporary ones, Salve y Coagula, to dissolve and to recreate. Look at this dancing Baphomet here. So where some people would look and be terrified by Baphomet, because you've been trained to be, other people see his hybridity, neither male nor female, being absolutely a representation of light, reason, and wisdom against low-minded spirit, supernatural superstitions. But also, look at the chaos magic of it. Look at him with his goofy little like video game head here, or this dancing kind of sexy Baphomet. Pretty exciting. This was the god of the Templars, probably derived from Mahomet, becomes Baphomet, but this is also a god today of science, reason, and wisdom. And the reason why Baphomet is so important is he's mutable. He's changeable. The fact that he changes so much and is between so many worlds makes him useful, and why chaos magicians like a god like him so much. Because he's ambivalent, because he can be deployed in so many different and exciting ways. All right, now I'm going to talk to you about my dear friend, and I'll leave him nameless, but there is a picture of him on the left. And on the picture of him on the right is not him, but that picture reminds me of my pal, the Wizard of Negaunee. Now, this guy is an Arch-Thalamite. He was one of the first OTO people I ever met and has been a lifelong companion to me and talking about all things magic and pop cultural. At one point, he took his magic game up a notch and started really engaging chaos magic. He was telling me that he began invoking the spirits of dinosaurs. Considering the incredible might of the thunderous lizards, and considering how many of them there were on this earth, why not draw upon their souls that have passed and deploy them in a magical means? Why limit ourselves to only invoking the human dead? I also know that he invokes the souls of dead political opponents. When a person dies of an opposing political field from him, he conjures them forth, binds them to his will, and then sends them out to harass and harm their other jerkwad friends that are of their political party that are doing horrible things in the world. I'll stay away from saying what those parties are at this point. Okay, He told me at one point that his whole magical practice that he'd been doing for 20 years changed when he started to do rituals to kill people. He, in fact, said it gave him a new level of peace and happiness when he was starting to do rituals to kill his immediate enemies or the screwheads in his life that were messing with him and his work and his life, and also these far off political and wider cultural fields. It gave him a sense of peace. But why not? I mean, if it can give you a greater sense of control of your life, why not do these things? I personally heard Wiccan say to him, oh no, a witch who does this thing, the rule of threes will be put back upon you. And he just looked at this kid and said, I am not bound by the rule of threes. That is not part of my tradition. I don't buy it. You can say that all you want, but I do not buy it. These delightful things. I used to get these phone messages. They'd be like, you hear Kissinger died? Got that one. Now I'm going to go make him kill Paul Ryan. It was just ridiculous and delightful. And while this friend is very much an OTO style Thalamite, these types of innovations he's doing, writing all his own rituals, invoking all of these types of culture figures, culture heroes into his practice is very much chaos magic. The last I heard, well, I talk to him all the time. This was a great screenshot from yada, yada, yada from the Facebook. Note, chaos magic for kids at home. Look at these images. Now, if you're Gen X, my generation, these are all very striking characters. Last I heard, he was summoning and deploying his favorite cartoon characters from the 1970s and using them in magical manners. Honestly, it all seems to work. But there's also an element of humor and irony to it. And I think I agree with Peter Carroll that humor and irony is another one of these extreme mental states that we could use in our magical practices. So I'm just glad knowing that there's the Wizard of Negaunee out there, and I get to have late night conversations over beers about the history of punk rock and the ways that magic may be far more relevant to us and to our times than we would normally argue in polite conversation. All right. See you in a minute.